Good morning, Dallas. We have a great treat for you today. On the stage with me is Dr. Scott Robinson. Dr. Robinson, everybody in our community is calling you the Dr. Oz of spiritual healing. How do you get a title like that?
I guess you just have to die to get there. And for those in the audience that don't know, I've died twice, had two near-death experiences, crossed over, met the being everybody calls Jesus, and was sent back with the specific instructions. You will learn a simple technique to heal yourself and share that with other people. Of course, when we did our pre-interview, you know that I died and ended up in the morgue. So how do I get a Dr. Oz title? I mean, I think that is an honor beyond.
Absolutely. I mean, let's not skirt over the fact that you died twice, right? You died once, and you said that you were able to get this mission from God. And then your second death was when you were actually in a morgue.
The first time I was actually in the morgue due to an accident.
Yeah.
My mom and dad came to identify my body as I was in the morgue in the ice refrigeration unit. They pulled the sheet back and I woke up. I said, Mom, Dad, I met God. I met Grandpa. And they're like, son, you had a head injury. Come with us.
Wow.
The second time, I had a problem where I was severely anemic. And at that time, I was a pilot and a doctor who traveled using flight. And I almost blacked out. And thank goodness I had a flight instructor with me. Mm-hmm. Came down, we landed, I went to my flight exam, and they said, you're bleeding internally, we don't know. And that's when they put me under anesthesia. They gave me some medicine that overdosed me, stopped my heart, and I came out and started floating above my body. Wow. And that was the second experience. It was at that moment, the angel that was standing next to me said, sorry, you can't go home yet. We have to have you fulfill your mission and purpose in life. And I said, what's my mission and purpose in life? And they said, you will learn a simple technique to heal yourself and share that with other people. And I ran out after I woke up from that, told the doctor what had happened, and told my mom and dad, and that changed my life altogether.
I mean, that's a lot to take in, so I know that that was a lot for you as well. Let's talk about how you're using that now to help other people, because especially with the training that you do, but also the clients that you have.
The majority of my clients are two different fold. One's the average person who has been written off by the medical community, left for dead, and I usually have 12 weeks to work with them. They'll either have miraculous healings, or I'll get them ready to go home, as in heaven. The second group works with the colleges and the universities, mostly the staff and the healthcare professionals, and we do that for the retreats that they do, professional development, in-service trainings, things like that. Mm-hmm. So those are the two different avenues that I work with.
How are you changing these people's lives?
Because of the near-death experience, I was given the gift of insight, intuitive abilities, and I'm what's called an empath. So I can literally feel your auric field. Mm-hmm. When you walked in the room, I already knew some things about you and we started to talk. And that's what happens when I'm with a client or a patient. Mm-hmm. Now, really quickly, one of those experiences were, I was called on a consult. A woman, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She wasn't healing. And my buddy who called me in was a really good diagnostician. Mm-hmm. And I did my prayer routine. I called in the things I need to. And I saw around her an auric field that was of three people who had abused her, one more than the other. Mm. And I said, who are these three people? They were all men. What did they force you to do against your will? Mm-hmm. And she said, I was forced to take chemotherapy or they would cut off my insurance. And she said, I held on to resentment and anger, mm-hmm. and I just kind of forgot about it. And the doctor went, why didn't you tell me that?
Right.
Because I work with paranormal psychology mm-hmm. and some other things. I use my gifts and abilities to determine what's going on with a person, even mm-hmm. if they can't figure it out themselves.
Right.
So that's one of the ways that I do it. Mm-hmm. The other thing is I teach a method called eraser, mm-hmm. ERASR, mm-hmm. emotional release and stress relief mm-hmm. technique to remove fear, overwhelm, and lack of forgiveness and mm-hmm. other emotional issues mm-hmm. so the person can help themselves heal. Mm-hmm. And Just by eliminating fear alone, you're going to eliminate probably 75% of the problems that this person is having. The other things are people in overwhelm, especially students, teachers, professors, and other healthcare practitioners. So once we eliminate these emotions, then healing prayer works. I have alternative medical devices I use that helps bring in the healing energy from a technical standpoint, especially for those people that can't believe that God is the greatest physician and there is no incurable.
Right.
So I have options for them. So hopefully that answered the question.
Absolutely. And it leads me to this question, because you're really connecting people's spirits, right? You're taking their head out of this. So talk about kind of that uniform that we're wearing.
All right. In the area of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, there are two camps, one pro, one against. And my book, There Are No Lines in Heaven, which is in front of us, bridges the gap between there. And in a way, where it describes unity is not necessarily uniformity. It is just the fact that we come down into this world in a different uniform or body that heavenly, the divine, has us so we can experience life in this reality. And with that, anything's possible.
Right. And so what do you say to those who maybe don't have a connection that is spiritual? How do you help them?
The agnostic and the atheist have one thing in common. There aren't any when trouble arises. You've heard there are no agnostics or atheists in a foxhole. So usually those people won't come within 10 feet of me unless they're on death's door. So the only time I will ever get a call from these people is there's something wrong and suddenly there is no other option. They've been written off by the medical society or medical community. There's nothing more than we can do. And suddenly they may have a turn of heart. Can I do it beforehand? Probably not. Because one of the things I teach is you must come from your heart and not from your head in order for healing prayer to work instead. So an agnostic or an atheist probably not going to come from that viewpoint
Until
the last moment.
Right. So you've written this great book. There are 6 chapters in it. What's, if you can, limit it to one takeaway that really sums this up?
Oh, that's a tough question, but first of all, if you have very little time to review this, whether you're a student or a professional, read chapter 6. It's only 19 pages long. It's the entire book in a nutshell. Second thing, learn to have patience with the C. Don't be the patient with the T if you really want to heal in this world, in this reality. You know, you've had some stressful times in your life.
Yeah.
Being a mother of 3,
Yep.
your profession, your husband, the comings and going of everyday life. This thing says, stay calm if you want to expect a healing. Number 2, the second takeaway is never accept anything, and I mean never accept anything, a diagnosis, a prognosis, or any negative statement from anybody, a doctor, a healthcare professional, because if you don't accept it, it's the first avenue for your ability to heal. And that's what saved my life. When somebody gave me a diagnosis and a prognosis, first thing I said is, you have no right to tell me that.
Right.
You're not God. MD
Right.
stands for medical doctor, not
Right.
major deity.
Right.
And so that's the biggest takeaway from this one book, if you could sum it up in 2 different sentences.
I really like that, because a lot of people are struggling right now with different things. Maybe it is a chronic illness or a diagnosis that they want to heal from or beat. And so I think you give people hope here.
I take it, Tracy, a little bit higher. Hope, I always imagined, was a little bit energetically below the line. So we want to bring back faith
Yes.
in God. We want to bring back trust in a being that's higher than us, that can connect us to the Creator, and belief back in our own selves and our own ability to heal. Because even from the biology of belief, so as you believe, you shall achieve. And if you can change your frequency, your ideas and your thoughts, you will change the energy within your body and the chemistry that goes with it. And anything's possible. Miracles can happen.
Absolutely, they do every day. where can people get your book?
You can find it on Amazon, both in the ebook version and the big version is also there. This is considered a paperback, but I wouldn't throw it at anybody because
Might hurt them.
The third edition will be coming out this summer, and in that third edition, we will take it in the audio version, and it will be coming out both in Spanish and in Portuguese.
Awesome. Well, I have to amend my first statement. I called you the Dr. Oz of spiritual healing, but I hear a little Tony Robbins in there too. So we'll have to kind of put them both together. Thank you so much. You are just a blessing to have been able to talk to you today, and I can't wait to read your book.
Oh, thank you, and it's been a pleasure to be with you. God bless, and for those out in the audience, thank you for being with us today. Have a great day.